People often ask me why I'm an AI optimist, why I'm excited, and why I'm not overwhelmed by this moment in time with all the changes that seem to be coming and building like a tsunami of change. And I tell them because I understand that certainty is an illusion. It is a falsehood that we have told ourselves because human beings crave certainty. We don't like change. So while we like novelty, we don't like change, and we certainly don't like seismic change. But life has taught me that certainty is an illusion. And those experiences are a couple that profoundly impacted me. One is when I was 28 years old, I just sold my first company a few months before. And I got home, and my biggest problem in the world is that my 100-pound Malamute had taken all the food I'd left out on the counter because I was a single guy. So, of course, I left out a gallon of milk, a bunch of muffins, a loaf of bread. And there he was on the floor after having gorged on all the food and milk, and he was bloated and couldn't move. That was my biggest problem in the world. And then 10 minutes later, my brother and sister's best friend, who grew up around the corner from us, knocked on the door because I've been living in the same house since I was 10 years old. She knocked on the door, and I hadn't been answering my phone because I'd shut off the ringer. And she told me my sister needed to speak to me. And my sister got on the phone, and she was down in Salisbury, North Carolina, where my parents were, running a convenience store. And that night, two guys waited outside, two guys walked in, and they shot. My father died almost instantly, and my mother escaped just by luck, getting hit in the shoulder and getting grazed across her head. That was my first real lesson in certainty is an illusion, and uncertainty is the norm. Second is when my disability descended upon me in my mid-30s. When I was a kid, because my mother had the same condition and it's genetic, we all got tested for it. And the test said I wasn't going to get it. Certainty. And then lo and behold, when I turned 35, my walking started to change. Went in for the test a few months later as the walking got progressively worse. And turns out the tests that were certain when I was young turned out to be wrong. Uncertainty is an illusion. And the third one is 1 week before my mother passed away. She was staying with my brother in San Jose, where he's working at the Children's Hospital. He's a pediatric anesthesiologist. And I was leaving, going on a trip to Seattle, and then headed back to Ottawa. I'd only been visiting over the Christmas holidays. And as I was leaving, she wanted me, I could see she wanted to hug me, but I wasn't a hugger. That relates back to all sorts of things from my childhood. So I didn't, because I was like, there'll be another time to hug her. And went to Seattle, went back home. My brother called me about a week later. You got to get back down here. She's in the hospital. And I remember on the whole trip down going, I wish I'd hugged her. And by the time I got to the airport, my brother was there. She'd passed away. Didn't get to. Uncertainty. Like, uncertainty is the norm. Certainty is an illusion. Life has taught me that. So in this time of AI, I know tomorrow is not certain. Everything is uncertain. None of us knows what might happen in the next moment. And that's why for me, because of these events in my life and just accepting that certainty is the illusion and uncertainty is the norm, and using that to my advantage to root myself in the moment, that as the change does come, as it creates, subjectively good and bad opportunities and challenges and consequences and implications, it's all just a game. You just got to ride the wave, and you got to do it in a way where you continue to maintain an optimistic stance and treat it as a game. Because all each one of us is ever doing is we are taking what happens and using it as an opportunity to either hide or to sculpt our tomorrow.